Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So last night, Donald Trump was elected the 47th president of the United States on his epic comeback journey, and it ended in a resounding victory. This was not a little, slight victory. No, it was resounding. It got called on election night. It was bigger by the raw numbers in the states that mattered than 2016 by far, and he won places that a lot of people, including myself, would have never anticipated. He's very likely to win the popular vote. He's very likely to stay around 50% in the popular vote. And as a result, he's earned himself a resounding mandate to enact policy. He's going to end up with at least 53 Senate seats, most likely. The Republicans, as expected, are going to hold the House. And you look at this, and this is just an epic, resounding victory, a rebuke of this administration. And these people on the left in the media, they try to gaslight people into thinking that this election is going to be some, it's a cakewalk for Harris. The average voter cares about democracy and abortion, and that's not entirely what people came to the polls for. They came to the polls for immigration, they came to the polls for the economy, and they came to the polls to elect a strong leader, because we kind of have not really had a leader in this country for the past 4 years. And even some people who may not have liked Donald Trump at the time, the past 4 years clearly have made them appreciate him to the point where they were going to give him another chance. And not only that, he won a resounding victory. Not only did he win Georgia, as a lot of people expected, and North Carolina and Arizona, which some networks have called, it's abundantly clear he's going to win it, and he's going to win it by a lot more, more than I think he won it by in 2016. Nevada, he's adding Nevada, a state Republicans have not won since 2004. Decision Desk is called Nevada. It's going to go Republican. And you look at the Rust Belt, Michigan. I didn't think he'd win Michigan. I thought it would be close. But he won Michigan by like almost 100,000 votes, 1.5 percentage points in Michigan. He won Pennsylvania by around 2. When you look at the total vote numbers, it's like at 130,000 vote lead in the state of Pennsylvania. You are seeing what is happening, and there's a lot of people that were saying, oh, that can't happen. Kamala Harris is going to win because of, something about the suburbs or whatever. But when you look at Pennsylvania and you look at the suburbs of Philadelphia, they actually move right, because what have we been saying? We've been saying working class people do indeed live in these suburbs. And even in some of those suburban counties where there's a lot of, college-educated white voters, the voter demographic, a lot of people have pointed to moving left. In places like Northern Virginia, Loudoun County moved to the right by 9 percentage points, and this is across the board. You look at Virginia, Donald Trump got it within like 5. It was like a 5.2% victory for Kamala Harris. And you look at New Jersey was within 5. This was a state a lot of people didn't think would be within 10. It got within 5. New York is within 12 right now. Now, there's a lot of outstanding ballots, so we'll see what the end margins are there. But Rhode Island, it was within 15 percentage points. He had the best margin for a Republican in Rhode Island since, the 1980s. It was absolutely insane. He came close to even winning New Hampshire. He only fell short by around like 22,000 votes there in a state that he never even really tried to contest. All around, it was a resounding victory. It was just a repudiation of the current status quo. People are fed up at the system. They're fed up with the elite that's just gone completely unhinged over the past 9 years with all their narratives against Donald Trump. And as a result, they stood with Trump. They've tried to impeach Donald Trump twice. They failed to successfully win in the Senate when it came down to that. Donald Trump has survived 2 assassination attempts within the past few months here. Donald Trump has been indicted 4 times on 91 counts, convicted on 34 felony counts, but you know what? It didn't matter. It only made him stronger in the process, and he's got a new team around him right now. He's got Elon Musk, he's got J.D. Vance, he's got all these great people, RFK Jr., smart, anti-establishment people that are actually willing to go in there and make serious change happen in this country, even more so than the first Trump term. And it's like, you have to be exhausted if you're on the left. All of the hysterical, false narratives completely bounced off. You've spent 9 years trying to get this guy. You even switch out your candidate because you know that you were probably going to lose to him, and you ended up losing anyways. You spent $1 billion in the past few months that just completely went down the drain. We heard about how Republicans have no ground game. Well, they clearly, you look at this, shift from 2020. Yeah, that's a lot of red arrows for not exactly having a ground game. And you see what happens when you have a post-COVID election. And it is true that Harris probably, when California gets counted, she'll be above 70 million. Trump is going to gain in his vote totals too. That 3.3% gap probably does end up closing somewhat. But Donald Trump will likely win the popular vote, which has never happened since 2004 for a Republican. It's happened once since 1988. And Kamala Harris is just an atrocious candidate, and they really tried to gaslight the public and make it seem like, oh, she's popular. No, she's not. They really thought that you'd see this Trump fatigue, and if anything, you saw this Trump hatred fatigue. And you have an RNC that's willing to fight back and push back against this election nonsense, and they've won successfully. You saw that they were, catching these people on the other side. They were winning their lawsuits even on election day, and it's restored a lot of faith in the system. That doesn't mean there's not work to be done, but it is true that there's a lot of faith in the system that has been restored across just the entire country. You're even talking about Texas. Texas was like won by Romney 2012 margins. He won it by 14 points. He was winning counties in South Texas, Hidalgo County, Webb County. These are like Hispanic majority counties. They gave Obama like 80% of the vote or so, if not even more than that. And Donald Trump is outright winning these counties. The old Democrat coalition is collapsing. They've pandered to the ultra woke, college-educated white liberal women who are already voting Democrat anyways. And they really thought they'd win an election or peel off Republican voters because they're trotting out warmonger Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney and all these people thinking it's going to make a difference. No, it's not. They're part of the status quo that's a part of the problem, and everybody can see it. Even the suburbanites, they like to point to the suburbs. Look at Tarrant County, Texas. Trump wins it by 5. Denton County, he won it by 13. He's expanding his margins. Houston, Harris County was only won by the Democrats by 5 points. And Donald Trump even improved in Austin, Texas. El Paso was close. San Antonio was closer. Across the country, Florida was won by Donald Trump by 13 points. Arizona's, looking more like 2012 than it is 2020 in Arizona. Nevada, he's almost on the verge of flipping Clark County. It's within 1 point. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he probably holds Washoe County. Regardless, he's going to win the state of Nevada. And look at California. Kamala Harris's home state is rejecting her, just like they did when she first ran for attorney general and only got 46% of the vote. She won because the third parties took votes away from the Republican candidate, ironically enough. You look at this. She's only up by 17. This is a state that I think Hillary Clinton won by around 32 in 2016. Biden won it by, I think 31. Kamala's up by 17 points in California. Orange County is going Republican. So these never-Trumpers we've heard about, they're increasing in number. Well, actually, they're decreasing in number. In fact, I think a lot of them just got fed up with what's going on right now. They got fed up with the narrative. They realized it was bogus. And, they decided to just join Donald Trump and realize that he's actually not that bad. And I've said it for a while. You have in 2020 an election that's a bloated election, basically, with all these, excess voters that we know, COVID, whatever. How many of those people remember that they voted? That's another question. But regardless, he still goes out there and, goes and he almost wins, essentially, in the count. And that's with the country basically on fire. A lot of people angry at Trump. They're glued to their screens, you name it. And then 4 years later, he's more popular. Biden's very unpopular. Harris did nothing to differentiate herself from Biden. Harris is unpopular. And Donald Trump is polling at an all-time high. His retrospective approval is in the 50s. Biden's is 41 in a lot of these exit polls, which aren't perfect, but we know it's around there in the polling. So when you look at that, it's like, okay, how the hell did people really think in their right minds that Kamala Harris was going to go out there and defeat Donald Trump? Did they really think people care that much about 1-6 or some fake stories that some ex-Trump employees are telling about Donald Trump so the media can run rampant and scare people? Remember, they were so delusional to say that some joke told by some comedian who spoke like 3 hours before Trump at an event would doom him among Puerto Rican Americans, but the most Puerto Rican county in the entire country, Osceola County, Florida, flipped to Donald Trump. Donald Trump won Georgia. Donald Trump won across the country. He set records among all demographics. He set a record with Hispanic voters, and that's partially why a lot of those, Texas and Arizona suburban counties are moving right, including Nevada, including California. New Mexico was closer. Colorado even got closer. Every single state in the country moved right. She didn't even flip a single county, by the way. This is the county map. You look at Washington, there's one in Washington state that is almost certainly going to flip back when more of the votes are counted. We'll keep tabs on that, but she didn't even flip a single county in the entire country. Even McGovern in 1972 flipped counties. That is how big this victory was for Donald Trump. He did better in places nobody thought he would. He even improved in Kansas, Colorado. You talk about the Northeast, and like I said, Scranton Joe, Pennsylvania. I'm like, yeah, Biden and a pandemic, which was a chaotic time. Are people in northeastern Pennsylvania, could some of them who otherwise would have voted for Trump feel uneasy and go to the guy they know? Yeah, we kind of saw that happen, and then we saw the reversion. We didn't see erosion. We saw reversion. The Polish-American groups, all the things I talked about came true. And all the things that all the doubters talked about did not come true. They were just unhinged takes. I'm sorry, but that's the way that it is. If you think 25% of Republican women are going to vote for Kamala Harris because of abortion or whatever, you're out of your mind. If you thought the polls were overestimating Trump when they've never done so before, it's not really how it works. Midterm years are not presidential years. There's one election in a presidential year. There's many different environments, and it's more localized in midterm years. And when you look at this, you can see this. Donald Trump everywhere, he did well. Independent voters, which way are they going to go? They're going to go with the issues and who they trust on those issues. And Donald Trump, on every issue except abortion, he was leading. Even democracy, because, they essentially cooed out Biden. That's another thing. This woman never got a single vote before. They just trot her out there to head a ticket and expect her to go out there and win. It did not work that way. It didn't. It absolutely did not. So the media, once again, they're just wondering what went wrong. They're blaming, a bunch of things like, this is a problem with young men are too far right or whatever. And it's like, it's rhetoric like that probably is the reason why you're doing so poorly with these demographics. And it is true, they did lose men from every single demographic. We talked about, Donald Trump wins big if he gets turnout from a lot of these men on election day, because men typically vote a little bit less than women, and he got that turnout. And he did pretty well with women too. But black men under the age of 45, he likely won around a quarter of those voters. He almost won Hispanic men outright in the country, which is unheard of. He won arguably the Hispanic vote in Texas, or close to it. He definitely got in the mid to high 40s. I believe he won Hispanic men in Texas. Overall, it was just an atrocious night for Kamala Harris. Every single place she got decked. When South Carolina is more Republican than California is Democrat, that's crazy. Same thing with Montana. And for a lot of the people that were saying, that one poll out of Iowa, it's always right. I got a lot of comments on that video I made trashing the poll, which I was vindicated because, it wasn't even within 15. Donald Trump won the state by like 13 to 14 points. He was safe in Iowa. He improved in every single Rust Belt state. And another story of the night is the economic anxiety. Donald Trump ran a populist campaign. He talked about immigration. He talked about wages. He talked about jobs. He talked about trade and manufacturing, just like it was 2016. He had a bold vision, and he made a lot of appeals to those union workers and the auto workers, and it paid dividends. If you look at Macomb County, he won it by like 15 points. It shifted right by 6 points, 5 to 6 points from 2020. I believe he won it by more than he won it by in 2016. So you can see these shifts here. Oakland County, you know, even some of these other places like Flint shifted right by 5 points. Saginaw, he flipped it. He flipped Muskegon. He did really well in Wisconsin. He even did better in Dane County. He did better in Milwaukee County. You know, there was not much reversion in WOW. He really ran it up across the state, and he ended up coming out on top there. He ran it up in nearly every single county. This county shift map looks just like 2016. And Donald Trump, unlike 2016, is going to win the popular vote, and he's going to have a better team around him. You're not going to have all these neocons in the administration the same way you had back in 2020. And you look at the Senate, it's very likely that Bob Casey, who was considered unbeatable, is going to lose to Dave McCormick in the state of Pennsylvania. Republicans flip back Ohio. They narrowly fell short in Michigan and Wisconsin. Again, Mitch McConnell really screwed over Republicans by spending way too much money on Larry Hogan, who's going to lose by 10 when it's all said and done. When you look at how many other close races that could have used that money that there are, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, we'll see if Sam Brown can pull it off. Arizona, where Lake is still in this technically, which is surprising. That would be a massive upset. But you look at what's going on in the nation. It was a resounding victory for the Republican Party. You have a new RNC, an RNC that fights back, and Donald Trump, who ran a masterclass campaign and won big in epic comeback fashion. So it's been a ride. There's a lot to unpack here. That's just the preview. We're going to keep on going. We have a lot of news to cover. We got to cover the next couple of months, the transition, cover in depth some of these electoral findings that we have, and there's so many more that I could make probably 100 videos on them. That's how just incredible the night was all across the country, every single demographic, every single state. People got out to vote. They actually showed out, and Donald Trump is going to be the 45th and 47th president of the United States. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.